Okay, so in the last video, I did a lot of talking about cars and what I needed to do. I got a lot of stuff I need to do to the Maxima right now. I'm just gonna wait on that. Side quest. I have here a set of new hubs for the Fiesta. Now, Fiestas have a 4x108 bolt pattern. Don't know why. It just is what it is. Some engineer decided that it was going to be a 4x108, and the rest of us have to deal with it. So, problem with that is there's not a whole lot of wheel selections, aftermarket wheels, for that 4x108 bolt pattern. At least not here in the States. It's something like less than 20 different types of wheels that you could run with that have 4x108. But luckily, with a little bit of ingenuity and some machine work, you can take a standard 4x108, just a regular replacement hub, and then have an extra set of holes cut into it. So what was once a 4x108 hub is now a 4x100. Now, problem with this is that the diameter needed for proper engagement of the stud, it needs to be, I think it was measured out at 0.55, which these holes were drilled out with a 17/32 drill bit, which does not measure out to 0.55. So instead, what you have to do is you have to use a reamer, much like the one I've got here on my drill press. That measures out to a specific diameter of 0.55, so that way the studs can be put in. I've already got one here that's finished. Diesels. I've got one here that's finished. I've actually already got a wheel bearing that's going out on the Fiesta. Started making a lot of noise and vibrations last night. So this will be going onto the car right away. Thankfully, the wheels that I've currently got on the car, they are multi-bolt pattern, so they're 4x108 and 4x100, so I can still use those same wheels until I find another set of wheels. Yeah, until I find another set of wheels that I prefer. Yeah, so I'm gonna show you how I'm doing this. Now, what I'm about to do and how I'm about to do this isn't really the proper way to do it, but I really don't have a great way to lock this thing in place while I go to run the reamer through these holes. Thankfully, the reamer is tapered on the end, so I can locate it and kind of snug this down. Doesn't have to, you can get as precise and as exact as you want to with anything really, but the hole's already here. The reamer will kind of center it, so we'll do that. So since I've got a larger face here, I'm just going to set this. Now, luckily I've already got my depth set, so that way I don't over punch and don't make contact with the table. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna kind of rest that taper up against it and kind of line everything up. And to set these onto the hub and kind of just hand tighten them. Well, I've got, I'm not really putting a whole lot of pressure on this. I'm just basically just using it to locate and kind of set that in its place. And it would be a good idea that if you are doing it like this, to kind of bring it up and push it back down just to make sure, because there will be some deflection in that reamer if it's not centered, which is happening right now. Okay, we're going to lock it down. Doesn't need to be terribly tight. With a reamer, you don't want to run these things at high RPM. It's not necessary. You can if you want to, but it's not necessary. Especially with a drill press. Like this thing, I can change the speeds on it. So I've got this set up to, I believe, what is it? Yeah. 150 RPM is what this is set to. So we'll add a little bit of, we're going to turn this on. Add a little lubrication to the situation. And then just real slowly feed that in. It's not taking away a whole lot of material, but just that small amount of material is enough. And the reason it's not taking away a whole lot of material, but the reason why you want to run this reamer through here and bring that diameter out to that specific number is because with it being, because I'm only removing probably 6/1000ths of material here, but that 6/1000ths is enough for the stud to want to, whenever you go to press it in, or in my case hammer it in, it will make it to want to, it will make that stud want to either sit crooked in the hole. Reason for that is because these studs, focus, these studs have these little ribs on them which lock into the material. So as you're pressing this in, or as you're smacking this in there, what's happening is the material in the hub will kind of wedge and create these little teeth inside the hub whenever it's set up properly. So I'm going to run through these, get these all done, and bring you back whenever it is time to put the studs in. All right, now that we've got the hubs all reamed out to that proper diameter, I'm just gonna wipe all this excess off of here, get the little shavings off, get these cleaned up. Next thing we got to do, well, since I don't have a hydraulic press yet, I will be installing these studs by way of the hammer. I think Jeremy Clarkson would be proud. Yeah, since that's his favorite go-to tool for working on cars. And that will be as simple as basically how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take a socket, I'm going to put it on this side because that just kind of fits in the hole, no problem. What? It was at this moment that somebody had pulled up into the driveway. Had no idea who they were, so. I'm going to take a socket, one that the stud can fit through, no issues, so that way the threads don't get damaged. Drop that into the hole. You can see here, if you look inside this hole, you can see the teeth where these teeth make contact and actually make an impression in the metal. So don't put them back in that hole. Put them in the new one. Alright, so how this is going to work. Super simple. Again, this is not how it's supposed to be done. This is just how I'm doing it because I don't have a drill press, or I don't have a hydraulic press. So just take yourself a hammer, get that lined up, and then you're just going to smack it a couple of times until it's flush. Almost there. There we go. Yeah, if you're worried about damaging your concrete or whatever you're on, you can always get a 2x4 or something to stick under it, which I should probably do because I don't own this house. It's always good to keep extra scrap 2x4s and stuff like that around. You never know what they're going to be used. They're always useful. It's always useful. I'm just going to repeat and do this again. Okay, so the 2x4 thing, yeah, screw it. I'm just going to put chips in the concrete. So there we have it. That is a set of Fiesta ST, or same as Fiesta. This is a set of Fiesta hubs converted to a 4x100 bolt pattern. It's going to allow you to have a much better selection of wheels whenever you go to buy wheels for your car. The offsets, you know, I mean, 4x100, there's a never-ending selection of wheels. You know, ranging anywhere from the cheap stuff all the way to like the really expensive 3-piece wheels. The 4x100 setup is going to open up a world of possibilities when it comes to wheel and tire setups. You know, this is something you don't need to have a drill press to do this, you know, or any type of, you don't need a lathe or a mill or anything like that. You know, obviously you can use those things and it will make this process a lot easier. But when it comes down to it, you really just need to be able to, you can honestly just print out a sheet of paper with you can print out a sheet of paper with the 4x100 bolt pattern on it, stick it on here, mark your centers, and then work your way up to that 17/32 drill bit, because this is really what's going to be the closest to that reamer size that you need. Start small, work your way up, and if you're kind of worried about it, just buy a single hub from, you know, Rock Auto. I got these on Rock Auto for, I think, probably $15-20 each. So I mean, if you're worried about screwing it up, it's not that expensive. So just, you know, grab one, give it a shot, work your way up to it, and then, like I said, start small, work your way up to the larger size. 17/32 drill bit is the one you're going to want to get to. Then from that point, you can get a reamer. I picked mine up on Amazon for less than $10. 0.550 inches is the size of that you need. Now with that, like I said, you know, run it slow. Don't smoke the hell out of it. Let it do the work. It will do it just fine. It's not removing a whole lot of material, and so it'll make it easy. And again, as you saw, I just used a hammer to install these studs. They're in there. They're not coming out. So next step is I've got to pull the car apart, pull the hub off, and figure out how I'm going to press out the bearing, the bad bearing, because it is not sounding happy. And I don't want to die. So, well, not yet anyway. Anyways, until next time. See you later.